Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that's going to totally shatter that cozy feeling of safety you get when looking at a screen. I want you to really set a hushed, cinematic tone in your mind right now. Forget your standard breakdown for a second. We're stepping directly into a supernatural thriller. The narrative we're diving into today is the absolutely terrifying story, The Dialed Number. So let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay, so our story kicks off with the ultimate classic setup for isolation. You know the vibe. Dark clouds rolling in, rain tapping softly against the roof, the dim, flickering glow of the television. Just picture this, teenage girl Sarah, sitting completely alone in her suburban house on a stormy night. She's curled up on the couch under a blanket, got her bowl of popcorn right there on the coffee table next to her phone. She's completely 100% absorbed in a horror movie. It's literally the perfect, eerie atmosphere. Right. So on Sarah's TV, there's this terrified young woman named Amy, and she is just running for her life through a pitch black forest. Absolute panic mode. She pulls out a phone, desperately punches at a number, and screams, "Please answer! Somebody help me!" And then, out of absolutely nowhere, ring, ring, ring. Right in the middle of this wildly tense on-screen moment, Sarah's actual physical phone starts ringing loudly on her coffee table. It's this massive, jarring jump scare in her dead quiet living room. She practically jumps out of her skin, looks down, and the caller ID just says unknown. Now, at first, she naturally tries to brush it off, right? Like, oh, just a weird coincidence, and she kind of looks back at her movie. But then she completely freezes. Sarah realizes that the exact string of numbers Amy just dialed on the TV screen, it's identical to the number calling her own phone. Guys, that is a mathematical impossibility. You can imagine the sickening realization washing over her. A cold chill shoots right down her spine, and the physical temperature in her living room suddenly and completely unnaturally just drops. So Sarah slowly, shakingly picks up the phone and answers, "Hello?" But there's just chilling silence. Then a little faint static, and finally a single whispered word, "Sarah." And then the call just dies. Her heart is absolutely hammering in her chest now. She frantically dials her mom, but no answer. Tries again, still nothing. Lightning flashes outside, and for just a split, terrifying second, Sarah catches this fleeting glimpse of a dark figure standing completely motionless out in her garden before it just vanishes. All right, Section 1, the impossible visitor. The boundary between the screen and reality breaks. So the television suddenly glitches out. The screen starts violently flickering with loud static. The character, Amy, suddenly appears way closer to the camera than she was a second ago, and she's begging, "Help me." Then, boom, the screen goes dead black. And in the dead silence of the house, this loud, heavy thud echoes from the hallway right behind Sarah. Heart in her throat, Sarah slowly turns around, and the impossible truth is standing right there in her hallway. It's Amy. Not the actress on the TV, but Amy, physically standing inside Sarah's house. She is soaking wet, totally terrified, and just gasping for breath. Sarah, naturally, asks the only logical question you even could ask, "How are you here?" And Amy just gasps out, "I don't know. 1 second I was running from it, and then I was here." Amy's looking around all frantically, but before they can even try to process how impossible this is, this deep, disembodied whisper echoes from somewhere deep inside Sarah's own house. "You can't escape now." The house lights start violently flickering. Pure panic sets in. Sarah grabs Amy's hand, and these two girls absolutely bolt up the stairs, just desperate to find somewhere, anywhere to hide. Moving to Section 2, the third shadow. They are no longer alone. The girls rush into Sarah's bedroom, slam the door shut, and lock it tight. They're leaning against the wood, just gasping for air in the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains. But then, Amy slowly raises a shaking finger and points toward the bedroom wall. And that's when they realize they are definitely not alone. Think about it. Two girls are in the room, but there are three shadows stretching across that moonlit wall. The third shadow is being cast without any physical body there to cast it. It's tall, crooked, and its limbs are bent at these completely impossible, unnatural angles. And the absolute most terrifying part? Shadows obviously shouldn't be able to move on their own, but this anomaly, it slowly turns its head. And then it starts gliding directly across the wall toward Amy. As this shadow approaches, the temperature in the bedroom instantly plummets to freezing. Out of nowhere, Amy starts to violently choke. It's like invisible hands are just tightly squeezing her throat.
She's struggling for air, practically collapsing onto the floor. In sheer, desperate panic, Sarah realizes what shadows actually are, and she frantically dives for the bedside lamp, switching it on to flood the room with light and banish the dark figure. The shadow vanishes, and Amy collapses, gasping for breath. But listen, they have zero time to catch their breath. They rush to the bedroom window to escape, but it won't budge. It literally feels like something is gripping it, holding it firmly shut from the outside. The bedroom lights start rapidly flickering again, and then the locked bedroom door starts shaking violently. Bang! 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 Something massive is actively trying to batter its way into the room. Out of the corner of her eye, Sarah spots a crowbar just resting in the corner of her room. With the bedroom door literally about to give way, she screams at Amy to move back. She grabs that heavy iron and swings with every ounce of strength she has right at the stuck window. Crash! The glass totally explodes outward, scattering into the dark garden below, and this freezing cold night wind just aggressively rushes into the bedroom. Section 3. The Deadly Chase. Nowhere to hide. With absolutely nowhere else to run, the girls scramble and leap right out through that broken, jagged window frame. They hit the muddy garden below hard. But just as they gather themselves to run, they glance back up. A terrifying dark shape has just materialized inside the bedroom they just escaped from. It just watches them for a second, and then leaps out into the darkness right after them. Now we're in a completely desperate sprint through a pitch-black yard. At 1 second in, their feet are wildly slipping on the wet grass. By 5 seconds, unseen branches are just heavily scratching at their arms. And by 10 seconds, heavy, rapid footsteps are right behind them, just getting closer and closer and closer. They finally reach the garden gate at the very back of the property. But it's padlocked shut. Sarah is desperately shaking it, but it just won't yield. Amy crouches down in the mud and screams at Sarah to climb, so Sarah steps right onto Amy's shoulders and starts frantically pulling herself over the top to safety. But suddenly, Amy just stops moving entirely. She is completely frozen in absolute terror, just staring at whatever has finally caught up to them. The shadow is now standing only a few feet away from them in the pouring rain, and it is no longer just a shadow on a wall. It is a fully physical, human-shaped monster. Its body is all twisted and sickeningly unnatural. Its face is completely enveloped in total darkness, except for these two piercing, glowing white eyes just staring directly at them. The creature stands completely still for this agonizingly terrifying moment. It locks those glowing eyes right onto the girls, and in this quiet, deadly, deeply unnatural tone, it just whispers, "Found you." Suddenly, the creature rushes forward with lethal speed. In a split second, Amy makes the ultimate sacrifice. Instead of even trying to climb up herself, she violently shoves Sarah the rest of the way over the gate, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Run!" Sarah crashes down onto the safe side of the street and just starts screaming frantically for help. House lights all up and down the neighborhood immediately start flicking on. People rush outside. But when Sarah looks back through the bars of that gate, there's absolutely no trace of Amy. The creature is completely gone. There's nothing but the dark, empty rain. Section 4. The Final Call. The nightmare isn't over. So it's the very next morning. The storm has passed and there's this eerie, quiet aftermath. The police have shown up and meticulously searched the entire area, but they find absolutely zero evidence. No footprints in the mud, no sign of a struggle, no sign of Amy. Literally nothing. Everyone gently sort of assumes that a deeply traumatized Sarah must have just imagined the entire impossible ordeal. But Sarah knows the truth. Later that day, Sarah is sitting alone again in her living room. She's quietly sweeping up the broken glass. The television, the source of the whole nightmare, remains firmly unplugged from the wall. Her phone is just sitting silently on the coffee table. She finishes cleaning up, lets out this long, heavy sigh, and whispers to the empty room, "Never again." She turns her back and starts walking away, ready to finally put this all behind her. But then, the silence is sharply broken. Ring, ring, ring. Her phone suddenly lights up on the coffee table. Sarah slowly turns around, and you can imagine her blood just running absolutely cold, because the impossible caller ID flashing on the screen is Amy. The phone just keeps ringing and ringing on the table, and then
The final supernatural escalation begins. The glass screen of her phone suddenly splinters and cracks completely on its own, and with a loud, sharp pop, all the lights in Sarah's living room instantly blow out, completely engulfing her in that pitch-black darkness once again.
And in that total darkness, a deep, terribly familiar voice whispers right through the room. Answer it. Well, we've tracked the complete collapse of the boundary between fiction and reality today in the dialed number. So I'm going to leave you with a provocative question to really consider the next time your phone rings late at night with an unknown number. Will you answer it?